Hey folks, Aaron here. We're going to do a little music theory today by taking a common chord progression and altering it and substituting chords in it to hear how it sounds and to play a little bit with chord function. If you're not super into music theory, that's okay. This is still going to be fun, especially for you ukulele folks. I'll show you some cool little changes as we go. But basically, these 12 bars right here are commonly called a 12-bar blues or a blues progression. By no means does just playing these chords make you playing the blues all of a sudden. No, there's tons of other stuff that goes into it. And by no means is this progression only used in blues. It's been used in almost every kind of American popular music since then. It's part of the DNA of American pop music. I started off with this grid, and you could put this on a piece of paper yourself and take notes with me and do it with a pencil because we're going to be scratching things out and substituting as we go. We're going to play in the key of F today. So I wrote out an F major scale, the note names right there. Why those are the notes that are in an F major scale is for another workshop. We'll do it a different day. But F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E. And then commonly when we talk about chord progressions, people use Roman numerals so that you could transpose it later if you wanted to. So we'll do that talk today too. We've got 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 7 chord. And you can see that some are lowercase and some are uppercase. The lowercase are minor chords, uppercase are major chords. Why those are major and minor is also for another workshop. We'll do that another day. For now, you just believe me and trust me that these are the notes in an F major scale, and these are the Roman numerals that go in a major scale. So if I translate that, we've got the 1 chord is F major, 2 chord is G minor, 3 chord is A minor, 4 chord is B flat, 5 chord is C, 6 chord is D minor, and the 7 chord will be E diminished. So with your pencil, if you want to maybe pause the video and just copy this out on your paper, and then you can take notes with me. But you can actually also pause this and do the homework of, you see the Roman numerals I wrote, 1, 4, 1, 1. You can plug those in right now yourself. So pause it and do it yourself if you want to. And then some of you are saying, well, why use the Roman numerals at all? Well, the Roman numerals also eventually help you understand what the function of chords are within progressions. Typically, C7. Typically, chord progressions start and end on, actually, we'll just make an alteration already. I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep this as a 1 chord. Typically, chord progressions start and end on the same chord, the 1 chord. They don't always, but typically they do. And the other chords serve certain purposes. So in this song, and in this sort of style, the 1 chord is home, and the C7 chord, the 5 chord, is the faraway place that makes you want to go back to home. The C7 chord has some dissonance in it that makes you want to go back to F, 5 to 1. So F and C. Right now we can make this C7 if we want to. And the 4 chord, the B flat, is away from the 1 chord, but it shares some of the same notes, so it's kind of also at rest. Doesn't have that much tension in it. So like, you could say that like B flat chord is your neighbor's house and the C7 chord is a grocery store. The F chord is home. So if we just give 4 strums for every one of these, just hear how it sounds. Second line. Now the third line. So I grabbed a stanza from a Ma Rainey blues. I think it's called the Jealous Hearted Blues or Jealous Blues. Now I don't remember. Jealous as I Can Be, something like that. So I'll sing it with this chord progression, and then as we go, we're going to alter these chords, and you'll see how it still is the same song. It still supports the song. It just does it in a spicier way as we substitute. So, can have my money, everything I own, but for God's sake, leave my man alone, 'cause I'm jealous, jealous as I can be. I'm just jealous, jealous as I can be. Okay, so the first alteration I would do is that if we're gonna end right here and go back to there for more playing, we can put a 5 chord right here, C7, as a way to turn it around. It's called a turnaround. Whoops. Pardon me. That's a 5/7 chord. So at the end we go, jealous, jealous as I can be. And then we start over again with the F. So putting a C7 right there is a good way to turn around. Later on we'll do fancier turnarounds, but right away that's the first thing we can do. Second thing is, a lot of times people like to hear the 4 chord as a 7 as well. So let's just make all the B flats B flat 7 now. Okay, so ready? You can have my money, everything I own. For God's sake, leave that man alone, 'cause I'm jealous, jealous as I can be. Oh, I'm jealous, jealous as I can be. Let's strum through it again. Here comes B flat 7. Okay, so all we did so far is add a 5 chord at the end and make the 4 chords also a 7th chord. So that's pretty cool, but let's go another layer more interesting, okay? So instead of right here C7 and B flat 7, that's 5, 4, 1, we're going to do something where it's got the same effect of like going from 5 chord back to 1, but we're going to do it in a more roundabout way. We're going to do it what's called a 2-5-1. So look down here what our 2 chord is. It's G minor. And 5 is C7. Sorry that my board rattles when I write. So now we've got G minor and C7 here. So we can just start right here in this F chord just to hear what it sounds like. And then G minor. So G minor and C7 there instead. So when we get to like, well, I'm jealous, jealous as I can be. That also sounds pretty cool. Let's add one more before we strum it all the way through. This motion of a 5 chord to a 1 chord doesn't just work from 5 to 1. We can use that same motion of a chord 5 notes away as a 7th to do the same thing. They call it a secondary dominant chord. So C7 is our normal dominant chord in this key. Dominant means 7th chord. C7 is the normal one in this key, but we can use fake ones in order to make the same sort of thing happen. So we really want to get to this B flat 7 chord right here. Let's make the chord before it 5 of B flat, 5 notes away from B flat, a dominant of B flat. So to get there, you can count with your fingers, B flat, C, D, E, F. Well, we've already got F right there, very convenient. Let's just make it into 7. So what this is doing is we're going from F, F7 to B flat. And for this moment, this F7 is like a 5 chord to here. So this is like not just needing to go to the neighbors, but your husband's asking you to go to the neighbors. He's been nagging you all day to go to the neighbors to pick something up. That's what that 7th is. It's like just a little bit more of a nudge to get there. So we're gonna start from the beginning, switch to F7 here, and we got the 2-5 right there. Let's see how it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here comes. That made sense, right? This felt pretty natural to you. I think you've heard that before. Start right here with F. that sounded normal, right? Put that F7 right there. Okay, so let's take that another step further. See this section right here? Let's make a 5 of this chord. Let's make a secondary dominant of this chord, which will make us want to get to this even more. So if I count up 5 notes from G, we've got G, A, B, C, D. So that means instead of an F right here, I'm going to do D7. Now, we already said down here that, hey man, in this key, a 6 chord should be minor. It should be D minor. But we're making it 7 a different quality because it has a different job to do. Its job is to want us to go to G minor. Therefore, it's become a secondary dominant chord. So I could write this as uppercase 6 with a 7. Let's just start right here. Kind of made sense, right? Should we go through it? And I'll try to sing again. 1, 2, 3. You can have my money, you're everything I own. For God's sake, leave my man alone, 'cause I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. 'Cause I'm jealous, but jealous as I can be. See how that D7 really made you want to get to here, right? It's a really cool sound. Let's make it a touch more sophisticated. Instead of regular G minor, we're going to do G minor 7. So for ukulele people, I like to play it just like this. It's like a B flat chord that you take your finger away from. And actually, G minor 7 is only 1 note different than B flat, right? We've got B flat and G minor. So they actually share kind of the same function. It's kind of a secondary home base, another different neighbor's house, we would say. So I'll start from F right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty cool, huh? We can do that. Let's strum through it one more time, and then we're going to add a fancy turnaround, and then we'll be done. Okay? So from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4. I forgot to go to 7 there for a second. Get a little fancier now. We already figured out that instead of just a 5 chord, we can do 2 5. So remember, in this key, the 2 5 was G minor, then C7. So let's, instead of just having a 1 here, let's do G minor 7, C7. That's our 2 5. Okay, and we've already figured out that before the 2, this dominant 6 chord works really good. So let's really make a cool turnaround here. So that's a 1 chord, 6 dominant chord. If I just play those last 2 bars. So F, D7, G7, C7. From the beginning. 1, 2, 3. You can have my money, oh, everything I own. Whoops, sorry. Forgot to go to B flat 7. Let's try that again. 2, 3. You can have my money, oh, everything I own. But for God's sake, leave my man alone, 'cause I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. 'Cause I'm jealous, jealous as I can be. Doesn't that turn around nice? It really makes you want to start over again. So now we've taken our 3 chord song, and now we're up to a 5 chord song. And pretty much everything we've put in, though, we've kept the basic structure, which is we've got kind of a home bass, mostly F line. Now we go to the neighbor's house for a little bit. B flat 7, back to home, and then this is our big 5 chord movement right here to start this line, back to home, and then a little turnaround to start over. So it's still basically the same thing. We've got home, neighbor's house, home, grocery store, home, and it's that way kind of no matter what. So all these substitutions we're putting in don't take away that structure. They keep it. They just make it in a little bit of a different way. One more chord? Should we add one more? I think we can. After the B flat chord, we're gonna play a B diminished chord. It's and for ukulele folks, and notice that's not anywhere close to being in the key. It's definitely like a spicy chord borrowed from another key. So ukulele people, this is what B diminished looks like. This is going to your neighbor's house and finding out that they're mad at you. So a place that should have been kind of like a comfortable place gets a little spicy. So practice if you need to B flat 7 to the B diminished. So B flat 7 is this. B diminished. And let me show you something about that. Here's the B flat 7. You could make B diminished like this. It's only one note different. B diminished like this. I think I probably normally play it like this, but same thing. So they share all the same notes. It's just one spicier note. Can we do it from the beginning? 2, 3. You can have my money, oh, everything I own. For God's sake, go leave my man alone, 'cause I'm jealous. Here's diminished. Jealous as I can be. Oh, I'm jealous, just as I can be. Let's just strum it. And in no way is this gospel. Like, this is just one way of navigating these 12 bars. And a lot of professional musicians, they won't even do it the same way every time. It's going to be a little different all the time. They're playing with a bass player, and the bass player starts to do something they like, and they'll say, oh, let's do it that way. Or like a vocalist is, doing something with their voice that makes me feel like, oh, hey, I think she's singing like there should be a diminished underneath. Let's add that diminished in. Input comes into you and you alter it as you go. But it's still the same song. It's still the same basic progression, and you can strip back to the original 3 chords and it still works. It's still got that home, neighbor's house, grocery store thing happening, which a lot of American popular music does. Yeah, hopefully we can come back at another time and talk more about how I built this scale and how I know that these chords are these quality of chords. But that's for a different day. So yeah, send me an email if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoyed this. Cheers.